Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today, we are going to talk about something that I never thought I would have to talk about, but now I feel like I have to, and that is, does audiobooks count as reading? Do you want to click off the video with this short answer? Yes, it does. Thank you. Now, I've been seeing a lot of things where it's like the weirdest thing that people have, like the debates I see online with what people argue about is so idiotic sometimes. And it just blows my mind that people truly don't believe audiobooks do not count as reading. It's so wild because they say it's because you're not like looking at the page, you're just listening, so it doesn't count as reading. But my only thing is, I don't think this is gonna be a long video. I'm not gonna go in depth about all this, but I'm gonna rant and talk about it because I can. As long as you can retain the knowledge of the book or whatever you are listening to, I would consider that reading. You know, I would definitely consider that reading, especially if it's an audio book. It definitely counts as reading. I don't know why this is something that is like a huge debate, but I see this all the time. There's so many people that are like, yeah, well, audiobook doesn't count as reading because you didn't actually have the book. It's not the same. It's like, bro, shut up. It's definitely the same thing. Just because I don't have Twilight in my hand, I'm listening to Twilight, I'm still retaining the information of it. Now, this is only time I will kind of agree, but it's because I will say this for skim reading. Now, skim reading does not count as reading. I don't care what anyone says. You definitely are not retaining that knowledge. Because every time you ask someone who skim reads, you're like, so what is this book about? And they're like, and they barely remember the characters' names because clearly they're not remembering it because they're barely reading. So the audiobook style of that, and there's a lot of people that do it for audiobooks where they put on like 3 times speed and you cannot understand a word that's going, but they're like, oh, I'm just reading books really fast. And that's just a huge aesthetic thing that people are trying to do the world now, where they feel like we have to read a lot to look smart. I want to make a video about that eventually in the future too, because it's just idiotic. It really is. It takes away everything you want to do with reading. So that's just my thought process with it. But I will also say this: if you watch a movie, say the movie is mute, but there's subtitles on it, does that count that you are watching the movie? Just saying. And also with audiobooks, it's like, it blows my mind that people say audiobooks don't count as reading, but it's like, you do realize like blind people listen to audiobooks, you know, like that's a thing. It's literally like, that's what blows my mind about how idiotic some of these things are that I just see. But also, I'm not surprised because I've seen this huge poll where people are saying dinosaurs are not real because someone on the internet on friggin' TikTok was like, yeah, did you hear this conspiracy theory about dinosaurs not being real because of this? And it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm not really surprised that people will argue the dumbest things on there, but I just felt like talking about this because it just seems so idiotic that people truly believe audiobooks do not count as reading. And it's just wild. Like, I listen to audiobooks. I don't listen to them all the time, but I do listen to them, especially if I'm reading like a big chunker book. I do audiobooks because it does help you out. It helps you get through these books. And that's how I got through the Wheel of Time. Now, this might be a hot take, and I did it with some of the Stormlight. So this is gonna be a hot take, but I do not like the narrators for the Wheel of Time or the Stormlight Archive. Kate Renning and Michael Kramer, I think that's their names. So that's all their issues. Like, when it comes to audiobooks, if your narrator is not very good, you're like, oh god, this is rough. So it really turns you off from it. But yeah, I could not get into them that well. Like, I grinded through the Wheel of Time with it. So I was like, oh. But like right now, I'm re-listening to the Dresden Files because I'm hoping in 2026 the next book for the Dresden Files is out, which would be sick. So I'm probably gonna start posting reviews of the Dresden Files too, because I mean, I'm reading them, so might as well put them up there. And yeah, I'm re-listening to them. Well, this is my first time listening to them. I read them a couple years ago, so now I'm listening to them. And dude, the narrator for that is awesome. He is from Buffy. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. Great narrator. And I am retaining every single thing from the Dresden Files, and I love it still. And I retain everything from the Wheel of Time and the Stormlight. I just didn't like the narrators. So I guess at the end, it's like, yes, it does count as reading. If you guys managed to see that in the video, I do appreciate it. What did you guys think about it? Does audiobooks count as reading? If you say no, I'm really gonna question your saying. You have to give me such a good, logical answer for me to be like, okay, maybe. But I'm not saying that. I just don't really think it's gonna be like that, so who knows. But of course, let me know down below. I would appreciate it. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.